Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us here at Rollins College. Thank you for joining us, and welcome to another beautiful day in our neighborhood. We welcome you, and thank you for being here. Grateful to have so many friends and colleagues here for the 2022 State of the College. In addition to those of you who are joining us here live and in person, I want to extend a welcome to those listening live on 91.5 WPRK, and to alumni, faculty, staff, students, and others who are watching our live stream video program of the State of the College. However you are joining us, thank you. One housekeeping item that just to remind anybody who parked in the Truist garage, if you have your parking ticket with you, just stop by where you picked up your name tag and we'll validate that for you on your way out. My name is Sam Stark, and I'm the Vice President of Communications and External Relations here at Rollins. We have so many people to thank and recognize, but let me first begin with a few colleagues. First, this event is a production of 1885 Events, which is the Rollins internal event and catering business. Please know that this room, our beautiful Knowles Memorial Chapel, and so many other spaces on campus are available for your next meeting or luncheon or wedding or gathering of any kind. Stop by the 1885 Events table on your way out and learn a little bit more. And stop by all of our tables on your way out to learn more about some of the great curricular and co-curricular offerings that are taking place at the college. Second, let me just ask my colleagues, faculty and staff who are here working at the college, will you just stand up, please, or wave your hand? There's a lot of you standing in the back, but would Rollins faculty and staff just wave? These are the leaders who work tirelessly day in and day out, who make, frankly, the State of the College so great, and to help make Rollins the #1 ranked liberal arts institution in the South, again. Let me also welcome some of our elected officials who are here. Mayor Phil Anderson from the City of Winter Park. Commissioner Marty Sullivan from the City of Winter Park. I have some other names and RSVPs. I haven't seen them, but I'm going to recognize Commissioner Sheila DeCiccio from the City of Winter Park, if she's here. State Representative Fred Hawkins, Florida District 42. Representative Daisy Morales. Okay, we know everyone has conflicts. We also have a few colleagues representing some of our elected officials, and I do want to thank them for also being with us. Victoria Mohebpour is attending for Jason Brodeur, Florida Senate District 9. Ezekiel Rodriguez for Representative David Smith, Florida House District 28. Travis Flynn for Senator Linda Stewart, Florida Senate District 13. And Ilya Torres for Mayor Orange County Jerry Demings, who also could not be with us today. Thank you all for your service and commitment to higher education. 3 people I do want to point out who are here as a board of trustees of the college. Carol Goggin, Andrea Massey-Farrell, and Alan Keene. Would you just please wave? Thank you for your tireless and loyal dedication to the college. On with the show. It is now my pleasure to introduce Mr. Akeem Mitchell, President of the Rollins Student Government Association and the first Black SGA President at Rollins. Last year, he served as the first Black SGA Vice President. He's a senior and a double major in political science and philosophy. He is also a resident assistant in our Lakeside neighborhood. Akeem is originally from Tangelo Park, Florida, and I'm delighted to welcome him to the stage and to have him share a few remarks and introduce President Cornwell. Akeem.
Hello. Okay, I'm gonna use this one. Whoa, good morning, everyone. I am Keem Mitchell. I'm a senior double majoring in political science and philosophy with the minor in African American Studies, and I have the pleasure of serving as the president of the Student Government Association. For those of you who don't know what that is, in other terms, I serve as the student body president, and I'm a representative of my peers. So I just want to say that thank you for having me this morning, and it is an honor to be able to speak in front of you. So as Sam stated in my wonderful introduction, thank you, Sam, I am from a neighborhood called Tangelo Park, Florida. If you all don't know where that's located at, it's in between the International Drive and Sand Lake area. This community is one that is home to a majority of black individuals. Growing up, school was always a safety net for me. What I mean by this is that it was something that I could always rely on. If someone would say mean things or bully me or just make me feel down, I would always say to myself, you know what, Keem, it's okay, because this is only temporary. You are going to be able to be successful in your future and in college. This goal of mine was not only huge because it allowed me to have a safety net and to flourish, but it also promoted my own growth. It was also big because in my home surrounding, besides my household, going to college solely on academics wasn't deemed as the most favorable way of making it out. During my last 2 years of high school, my guidance counselor took myself and a few of my peers on college tours. This was in order to allow us to see what higher education felt like. While we went on those the college tours for my junior and senior year, we came to Rollins. And I'm not gonna lie to you all, I was like, the first time I was like, you know what, I don't think I'm gonna come to this place. This might not be my spot. But during the second tour, once I got to really feel the vibes and really see what Rollins really was about and got a more in-depth understanding of what this institution stood for, I was like, you know what, this might be a home for me. And so another motivator that pushed me in this direction was Harris Rosen with his Rollins Rosen Scholarship. So some of you all may know Harris Rosen and some of you may not, but he is a philanthropist in the Florida or Orlando area, and he sponsors a scholarship in my neighborhood that allows for people who come from that neighborhood to have the accessibility to attend a university, because either they might not have the funds to do so or have the resources to do so. So without Mr. Rosen, I probably wouldn't be here today, so I just want to say thank him. I just want to thank him for that. When reflecting over the past years throughout my time at Rollins, I can truly say that I am grateful for the ways in which it allowed me to develop as a person. The principal way that I have grown at Rollins is through affirming my purpose and redefining what I deem to be successful. When entering this new chapter in my life, I was so excited. I was ready. I was like, ooh, I'm going to college. I'm going to make a difference. It's going to be great. I'm finally standing in my purpose. But after this excitement came this feeling of a little bit of uncomfortability. This stemmed from me attending a predominantly white institution where very few people look like me. As a black student at an institution like Rollins, where the representation is so minimal, it sometimes takes a toll on you. The negative thoughts begin to come in, and you begin to think that no one understands you and that you aren't worthy enough to stand in the spaces that your white counterparts do. You honestly feel alone. However, I didn't stop. I didn't allow the trials that I was experiencing to hold me back, but instead allowed them to push me forward. With the help from different mentors from the past and present staff and the Student Center for Inclusion and Belonging, Center for Involvement, and Vice President of Student Affairs, Donna Lee, I was able to continue to push and grow as a person. I learned how to stand firm in my blackness and understand that I hold power in a room. It was very important to me to not only think of the storms that I was facing as a way to water the seed of greatness within me, but to get through some things. So a lot of times, and this isn't just for me, but I know for people, we all go through things. We all deal with things. But a lot of times we think that the storms that come our way are just to destroy us, are just to hurt us, are just to stop us from growing. But the storms come with rain, and the rain is water. Water helps flowers and trees and nature grow. You all have seeds of greatness within inside of you. I have a seed of greatness within inside of me. I needed to realize and change my perspective in showing that that storm was watering that seed of greatness within me. It was allowing me to grow and allowing me to truly become who I am today. And not only did that storm allow me to affect myself in positive ways and gain different leadership roles such as this one, but it also affected the Black and POC students around me. Multiple people, my peers, my friends, even some people, even strangers that I didn't even know, would come up to me and tell me, wow, like, you have inspired me so much, and you empowered me to take space in the room I'm in, to stand firm in myself, and to believe in myself when I'm one of many. And it was because of this that myself, along with my phenomenal Vice President, Cindy Naika Sajor, not only saw the necessity for us to run, but also believed that the best slogan for our campaign for President and Vice President was to break barriers and build a future. It was time to break the barriers that continue to stop the progression of Rollins and build a future that fosters community and generational growth. This institution is the oldest college in Florida, founded in 1885. And Cindy and I knew that as the first Black administration at this college, it would not be something that would be easy. It was gonna have some difficulties. But if not us, then who? How long would it have taken for someone else to feel empowered and stand into their greatness at this institution, specifically in these roles? It was time for us to pull the weeds and plant different seeds for foundations to be pulled upon. So, what are these seeds? The first seed that is being planted is diversity, equity, and inclusion. How are we not only allowing this college to be more diverse based upon the students that attend this institution, but also create that sense of belonging? How are we retaining students from marginalized communities due to a feeling of safety and welcoming environment? The second seed is community rebuilding. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the world changed and there was a shift in how we perceive reality. We went from having to be introverted to pushing an extroverted reality and lifestyle in a span of 1.5 to 2 years. Now it is time to rebuild our Rollins community on the foundations of DEI and fostering a sense of belonging that allows everyone to truly feel a part of it. The third seed is mental health advocacy and awareness. Along with the COVID-19 pandemic, there was also an uprising of people speaking out about mental health, about people wanting to know that it's a real thing, about people wanting to know that it's important and it matters to us. And so with this administration, Cindy and I want to continue that conversation and spread light onto this important topic that has historically been overlooked. The last major seed is student representation and college governance. Over the years, we have continued to make strides in this area, but it's not enough. We are still advocating and fighting for there to be a student representative on the Board of Trustees. Students are the true stakeholders of this college, and it is important that we are continuously a part of the conversation. So overall, as I enter my last year at Rollins, I have finally begun to realize my purpose and change my definition of success. Success is not only getting your fancy car and your big time job and you making like 6 figures. It's not only about that, but it's also about creating a positive and lasting impact to help change a life for the betterment of others. Here at Rollins, my main goal is to leave a legacy that allows for Black and POC students, along with all students, to reap the work that I have sown. And as far as my purpose is to continue to be a light in which others are able to use in order to get through their dark times they may be facing. But that's enough about me. Now I have the honor of introducing President Cornwell. So Grant Cornwell was named the 15th president of Rollins College in July of 2015. Before coming to Rollins, he spent 8 years as the president of the College of Wooster in Wooster, Ohio. During this time, he supported and created initiatives in diversity and global engagement, collaborative research, and experiential learning. In a few years, Cornwell has grown the Rollins reputation to be one of the most distinguished liberal arts institutions in America. Under his leadership, applications, enrollment, and the diversity of the student body has been at the highest since the college opened. He engaged the entire college community in an extensive strategic planning process, including an ambitious capital projects plan that would change the face of the campus over the next 5 years as facilities are constructed or renovated to facilitate delivery of programs focused on student success. Cornwell is forging the transformation of the Hamilton Holt School evening program to meet the needs of new generation of learners, while also advancing the college's commitment to excellence in teaching by relaunching the Endeavors Center for Faculty Department. He is also shepherding the most ambitious fundraising campaign in the college's history, anchored by the single largest outright gift, $40 million. Along with his engagement with the college, President Cornwell is also nationally recognized for his work in defining liberal learning. He serves on a multitude of organizations that oversee and represent different colleges and universities across the nation, such as, but not limited to, National Association of Independent Colleges and Universities, the Association of American Colleges and Universities, Teach for America, and many more. The list goes on and on. But Cornwell holds doctoral degrees in philosophy from the University of Chicago. Not only does President Cornwell hold the George D. and Harriet W. Cornell Chair of Distinguished Presidential Leadership, but he also serves as a member of the Rollins faculty as a professor of philosophy. Please welcome me in introducing and bringing it up, President Grant Cornwell.
Okay, that's what we do here. My work is done, we can adjourn. Thank you, Akeem. And welcome, friends. Welcome, neighbors. Welcome to your college. I mean, whether you're from Winter Park or around Central Florida, Rollins College is your neighborhood college. And I know this because I see most of you walking through the campus on a daily basis. And you're always welcome here. I'd like to share a few insights into where the college is and where we're going, what the landscape looks like out there. I'll start with just a couple comments on the state of higher ed, both here, regionally, nationally. And I'll start by saying, you know, one of the reasons I came to Rollins 8 years ago is the Central Florida region is a fantastic network of higher ed institutions. There's such a great balance here with UCF and its ascendancy, with the great community colleges of Valencia and Seminole State, with Full Sail doing what it does, and here, Rollins, nestled right in that network of colleges. There's really something for everybody. It's a great place to be a college student. It's a great place to be in higher education because of that diversity and that network of colleagues we have around here. So a comment on the state of higher ed. It's been a tough couple years. I mean, I know that every sector has been profoundly affected by the pandemic. But try to get thousands of college students to adhere to certain protocols that will keep everybody safe. And you know what? They did. They did because what they wanted more than anything is to stay in college. And we at Rollins managed our protocols and our practice with great precision, and I would say constant change of what we're doing, why, and when, to keep our students and faculty and staff safe so that we could continue to pursue our mission. But I will say, as well as we did, that mission was attenuated somewhat by COVID. Either there was online learning, or we were wearing masks and socially distant. I mean, for those of you who've gone to college, can you imagine the term socially distant when you think about college? It was hard. It was hard. And I'm happy to say that this fall feels great. There's an energy on campus that feels natural and normal. The students arrived, and I'll tell you how many of them arrived in a minute. A lot of students arrived with a great passion to be in college. Now, we have some making up to do, because a couple things happened and it will take us time to work through this. One of the things that happened is that for our current college students, for the last couple years, our faculty were extremely accommodating and compassionate because they couldn't, in many cases, the students were ill, or the students had anxiety about the whole context of their being here and couldn't really produce their academic work at the pace and with the rigor to which we're accustomed. And the faculty gave grace there. Well, it's time to get back to work now. And that's one sort of recalibration that we'll be going through this year. The other one is that we received a fantastic class of first-year students. But they've had their last 2 years of high school were profoundly sort of impacted by COVID. And there was lost learning. And one of the ways in which we have to fill in a gap is that they're not necessarily arriving to college with the full skill set in writing, in math. They didn't have the full benefit of their high school experience. And now they're college students. And we are supporting them, we are with them, we are behind them. But we all have to sort of ramp it up. Because being a Rollins student, it's a job. And it's a rigorous job. And those academic standards are ones that really define who we are and make us who we are. So we do have some work to do. It's work I think we all embrace, including especially the students and the faculty. So that's sort of the context of where we are. Let me tell you a couple things about where we find ourselves with enrollment. I've been here 8 years. And through that time, we formulated a vision for what Rollins could be. I mean, I inherited a fine liberal arts college, outstanding liberal arts college. But in it, I saw and my colleagues saw the potential to really reposition us in the national and international market. Because there's no better place to be a college student than in Central Florida right now. With the dynamic economy and the diversity of people and cultures and opportunities and issues to be addressed, it's an incredibly rich place to go to college. And I thought, we could leverage that position and lean into our strengths and help more people, more prospective students really understand what is going on here. And it's worked. We've made investments in leaning into our strengths that are paying off. So these are rough numbers, but let's say 6 or 7 years ago, we had 5,000 applications for an entering class of, say, 500. And that's a fine and solid place to be. But that number of applications has been going up, so that 2 years ago, we had 8,400 applications for an entering class of around 550 or 570. And we thought, boy, that's a big jump. That probably won't reproduce itself. Well, this last year, we had 9,700 applications for the entering class. And, you know, the way we decide who to admit is by using predictive analytics. And the algorithm said, well, if you want a class of 550, 570, you need to admit this many students. So with 9,700 applications, we have become a very, very selective college. We don't like doing this, but thousands of those students didn't get admitted. We thought we admitted the right number to get the right number of students to arrive on campus, but they kept depositing. They kept saying, no, we're coming. You said I could, and we are. So this fall, we had 634 first-year students arrive, which has challenged our faculty and our residence halls, but in a happy way. We did some work in Elizabeth Hall, which is down by Lake Virginia, which is where a lot of first-year students live, but a lot of the doubles in Elizabeth Hall this year are triples. And so they have an extra friend to get to know. But it's all working quite swimmingly. And lest you think that this is a trajectory, I want to be clear that we don't measure the success of Rollins and our progress by growth. We are not, that is not part of our plan to become a bigger Rollins. Our plan is to constantly become a better Rollins. And so we think that right now we're really sort of at capacity for what the campus and the faculty and our student affairs staff can manage, and manage in a way that delivers on the quality of a Rollins education. So our goal next year will be to admit a class that keeps us at sort of a steady state of around, let's just say 2,200 undergraduate students. That's not counting the students in the Crummer Graduate School of Business or the Hamilton Holt School. So that's what we're thinking about. Let me say just a word about, I need my glasses. Yeah, let me say just a couple words, kind of some fun facts about the entering class, because, you know, the Rollins you may have in your mind may be different from the Rollins that's actually on the ground here. First of all, about half of our students come from Florida, which is true of colleges like this. When I was at the College of Worcester, half came from Ohio, half from everywhere else. When I was at St. Lawrence University in New York, half came from New York, half from everywhere else. It's just kind of the way these colleges, these top liberal arts colleges, work in the whole system. So half come from Florida, but the top states for enrollees this year, and it's different every year, but the top states this year were New York, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, Texas, and New Jersey. And it's always kind of a surprise. It's just kind of a fun thing to see where are they coming from. There's really sort of a northeastern corridor from Boston down through New York and Washington, and I would then scoop in sort of Atlanta into that. That is a pipeline for us and kind of always has been, but it's building and it continues to be strong. Also, just under 10% of our student body comes from, is international. So this class of 630 students has 35 countries represented. And another thing that it's very important that I want you to know about Rollins is we extend a tremendous amount of financial aid to enable our students to attend Rollins. Now, the sticker price, if you will, the top line number for attending Rollins is a big number. But we extend so much financial aid that the average cost of attendance is about half that. We put together packages to enable students from all walks of life, all socioeconomic backgrounds, to attend Rollins if this is a place where we think they can flourish. So, 19% of the entering class are Pell eligible. What does that mean? Pell grants are federal grants given to the lowest socioeconomic band. So if a family, in their estimated family contribution to college, when they fill out a form, if it says that they can afford to contribute $5,800 to their child going to college, $5,800, that's what the family can afford, they're eligible for Pell grants. 19% of our students are receiving Pell grants. It's also the case that 15% of our entering class are first generation, and Faye, I'm going to look at you. I think it's right to say that about 48% of our students identify as white, and the rest identify as a range of other kinds of identities. Is that close? 60, yeah. It wasn't close. So about 40% of our students bring some kind of additional diversity to the campus. And that's intentional. That's intentional because what I believe, what we know, is that excellence in higher education, and especially in a college like this, is a function of diversity. We can't be a great college if we have students all from one background, all from one point of view, all from one socioeconomic band, or all one identity. It's by bringing students from all different walks of life to be in dialogue with each other and with their faculty that real liberal learning takes place. So we do this on purpose, and we're doing it better and better, and it's a real commitment of ours. What's next, Jen? Maybe we can go to the next one. Oh, I would like to say something about the rankings here, because that's what presidents do. We are once again named by U.S. News and World Report as the #1 regional university in the South. But there's also, U.S. News has other categories, and we are in the very top end of colleges being recognized for being of the best value. And I'm always proud of this one, for having the best undergraduate teaching in the South. And we're also on a list of schools that have the best undergraduate business programs, which has really become a point of strength for us. We're also a top producer of Fulbright scholars, and that is something that we find our students being more and more interested in their year after graduation, seeking to become a Fulbright scholar. Again, a point of pride for us. So So I want to point out a couple things about the vibrancy of student life at Rollins, because you're all in one way or another our neighbors. And this is a fun place to come. We have over 20 NCAA Division II sports. And you're welcome to come to those contests as long as you root for the Tars. And of course, we have fantastic music and theater and art that is available to the community. We want to share our arts and culture with the community. We want you coming to the Bach Festival performances, to the Annie Russell Theater to see really some of the best college theater in the nation. We want you coming to our Rollins Museum of Art to see the fantastic exhibits that move through there. This is also your place for arts and culture. Go ahead. Well, last year we accomplished something that is long overdue, which is that we were after a very long process, we were invited to shelter a chapter of Phi Beta Kappa, which is the nation's most elite and prestigious academic honor society. And it's a 3-year process. They don't just let anybody in. It calls for visits and voting and reports, and they found us more than worthy. And so we are now a Phi Beta Kappa institution, and I'm very proud of that. Something else that I hope you know about Rollins, and if not, I'm going to tell you that we are out in the community. There is a plaque. If you walk down the loggia here, there is a plaque down on the wall that says, "Life is for service." It's been there since Fred Rogers saw that plaque when he was an undergraduate at Rollins, and he carried a picture of that plaque in his wallet his whole life. So Rollins has always believed in the ethos of service, and now we talk about service learning, that Rollins students are out in the community, engaged with local organizations and schools, NGOs, putting their education to work in the world as they learn. When they serve, they learn. And that is a big part of our ethos, and you see some of these organizations, but the list would be too long, because it's an integral part of our curriculum and our mission to have students understand that being a Rollins student, from whatever your background, is a privilege, and with privilege comes the responsibility to give back. And our students take such meaning in being out in the community, serving while they're learning. It's a big part of our identity. Let me say just a word about government relations. Sam Stark, who spoke first, leads up our government relations work. But it's important for a place like Rollins. I'm going to mention two things. First of all, I already mentioned Pell Grants. I mean, the federal government in Washington is always in a sort of wrestling match about whether to raise Pell Grants or leave them what they are or take them away. You know, it's a political issue, but from my point of view, and I hope that you might agree, more is better. I mean, for our federal government to invest in those least advantaged socioeconomically to help them go to college is one of the most empowering things they can do with tax dollars. So we're always in Washington suggesting that, that protecting the Pell Grant is important. But here in Florida, there is also a grant that I'd like you to know about. It's called the EASE Grant, E-A-S-E. It's an acronym. I forget what it's an acronym for. But it's a grant available to all Florida state students who attend private colleges. And 2 years ago, it was $2,800 per student. So if you're from Florida and you go to a private college, the state will support your attendance with $2,800. Now, last year there was a tiff in Tallahassee for reasons that we haven't even been able to untangle, but between the legislatures, and they kind of got mad at each other and they lowered it to $2,000. And the private colleges sort of raised their hand and said, "What happened?" And they said, "Well, we don't want to talk about it, but it's lower." We have every reason to believe there's momentum about raising it again to $2,800 or higher this year. In fact, our intelligence suggests that the governor was surprised that it was lowered and is not in favor of that lowering, and so I hope that we see a restoration of the full EASE grant. Because that $2,800 means a great deal to many of our Florida students. It's the difference between being able to attend Rollins or not. So I want you to be aware of that as citizens. So Rollins moves forward strategically. We come up with plans and we pursue them with ambition and vigor, and we create change. And the one plan that is underway right now, the one strategic planning process that is thoroughly underway right now, is around diversity, equity, and inclusion. Akeem spoke to it. Now, Rollins has been committed to diversity for decades. Decades. And I would give us fairly high marks in our efforts. But fairly high marks is not good enough. So we now have a strategic planning process that reaches across the whole organization to align our policies and practices and programs with being a college that is fully supportive of diversity, equity, and inclusion. This is both the right thing to do, it's an ethical calling, it's also a strategic calling. Because if you look at the future of college-going students, they come from a diversity of backgrounds. And unless Rollins is a place where families from all backgrounds feel like young people can thrive here, are welcome here, are supported here, we just won't do well in the future. So we are hard on this. I would say it's going well. But this kind of plan is not one that you finish. This kind of work is not something you do and say, there, we can check that off. This is forever work. This is forever work in this nation. And we are part of that work. So I wanted you to know that. This is a little shift. I hope that you all know of the Hamilton Holt School, as we call it here. The Hamilton Holt School is our, if you will, evening program of undergraduate and graduate studies for working adults in the Central Florida area. And we've been doing a lot of sort of market analysis of our position in that space, because it's a big space. There are a great number of working adults in Central Florida who have started but not finished college. And finishing that degree would be like a rocket booster to advancing their career. The Hamilton Holt School is an ideal place to do that. It's a Rollins-taught program for working adults, which means it has all of the ethos of a Rollins undergraduate program, which is all about the relationship of caring professors really inspiring and challenging students in their progress. But the Hamilton Holt School, well, we like to, we have a lot of sentimentality around it. It's just not great market positioning, because the general public doesn't know anything about the Hamilton Holt School. They do know about Rollins College. So we're pivoting our branding of the Hamilton Holt School, and it's going to be the Rollins College, the Rollins College program in graduate studies and professional advancement. We have about 8 master's programs and a number of undergraduate programs for working adults that want to finish their degree. So we're going out there in the market and saying, if you want a master's to advance your career, or if you want to finish your college degree, Rollins is a welcome place for you to do that. And of course, you can go ahead, Jen. The graduate program maybe that we are most famous for is the Crummer Graduate School of Business, the #1 ranked MBA in Florida. It's an incredibly dynamic, constantly changing, forward-leaning set of business programs for many levels of people who want to pursue an MBA. And some news there is Deborah Crown, our dean, has accepted the position of Dean of the Business School at Pepperdine. So she'll be moving on to her next opportunity. I have tremendous both affection and respect for Deborah. She's done great things for Crummer while she's been here. She's on to her next set of challenges, and we applaud that. And we see this as a great opportunity for Rollins, because being the Dean of the Crummer Graduate School of Business, that's a real opportunity. So keep your eyes out for that. If you know people that might be good candidates, do let us know. The other thing I want to mention about what's newer at Crummer is that working with our colleague, the Edith Bush Institute, which is our institute that serves for leadership development for local nonprofits. It's an incredibly powerful, impactful set of programs. They in Orange County, we collaborated with Orange County and been awarded a $4 million grant to support the programs of Edith Bush over the next several years so that our outreach to local nonprofits can be greater, to try to help build leadership capacity in those nonprofits and really extend their scope and their reach and their performance. So I'm very excited about that. I have a surprise for you. We're in a capital campaign. Can you believe it? So actually, we're toward the tail end of the capital campaign. We set out a goal to raise $275 million to advance our mission, and we are already well north of that, and we'll finish it well north of that. But maybe that's enough to say about that, except that if you haven't yet been a contributor, there's still time. I just wanted you to know that. So what's going on campus? Where are the cranes this week? You all know, I hope, that we've had some very successful capital projects at Rollins. The remake of the Old Mills Library to become the Kathleen W. Rollins Hall, the tearing down of the McCain Dormitory and the building of the Lakeside neighborhood down on Lake Virginia. There are campus tours after this event, and if you haven't walked around campus recently, you have a lot to see. So I would encourage you to do that, and my guess is it includes a visit to the Mr. Rogers statue. But the couple capital projects currently underway that I will mention is here on the left you see a rendering of the Tiedtke Theater and Dance Center. Do you know Rollins has the #1 undergraduate program in theater in Florida and number 24 in the country? We've always had really a fantastic undergraduate program in theater, the theater arts. Those of you who have been around a while will remember with affection the old Fred Stone Theater, which finally we had to condemn and tear down. It was charming, but it was also rotten. And this is our replacement for that. It's due to open sometime this fall. By spring, we will have this new facility with a dance studio, a directing lab, a lighting lab, a costume shop, and the centerpiece is a black box theater. Now, why is that so important for our program? Well, you know the productions that we stage on the Annie Russell. Full-scale productions, they're fantastic. But the theater students need a space to create theater themselves, to write plays, to produce them, to direct them, to act them. And so the Black Box Theater, actually in my time here, some of the most powerful theater that I've seen here on campus has been in the Fred Stone. This will be our new Fred Stone, where student-produced theater will be available and where our students really learn the crafts of their discipline. Every graduating senior in the theater arts is required to write, direct, or produce a play as part of their senior work. So this will be the space where that takes place. You've probably noticed that the Alphon Inn is under construction. Why would we mess with something that was so successful? Because the only complaints I've heard since coming to Rollins about the Alphon is that you can't get a room. And you can't get your event there. You can't get your wedding there. You can't get your conference there. So we did market analysis, and there's definitely capacity. There's definitely market demand. So we're adding 73 new rooms, a new wine bar and coffee shop, and a 10,000 square foot spa. And in the meantime, we are refurbishing the existing room stack. Now, that might surprise you because the Alphon Inn isn't even 10 years old yet. But at times, it's gone through long periods of being 95% occupied. It is so heavily used that we need to now refresh the whole inn. so that this time next year, when you go in the Alphon or when you or your friends stay there, it will be an entirely new inn, because all of the existing room stack is going to be appointed just as the new rooms are being appointed in the new expansion. And we've upped our game. It's going to be a stunningly beautiful place. And why does a college run an inn? Because it's a nonprofit boutique art hotel where 100% of the margin directly funds Rollins scholarships to enable students that couldn't afford to come to Rollins otherwise to attend Rollins. And we know that this expansion will just increase our capacity to fund scholarships for Rollins. The last one I'll mention is we have a vision to build out what we call the Innovation Triangle on the Lawrence Center lot, which is across the street from the Alphon, owned by the college. And on that lot, we have a vision for a new facility for the Crummer Graduate School of Business, an executive education center. Our current facilities for Crummer are adequate, but they're somewhat quaint. They don't exactly speak 21st century business. They're not nearly, they don't represent the forward-leaning programs or faculty that we have. And so we want a new space for Crummer graduate executive education to take place. And right next to it, we intend to build a new museum of art, a new Rollins Museum of Art, because our holdings deserve to be shared. We have north of 6,000 works of art. Almost all of them are in storage because we have a lovely little museum down by the lake. We want to lift that collection up and share it with Winter Park, share it with Central Florida, share it with the world. It's that good. It will be a comprehensive collection, which is to say we have everything from the old masters through to the cutting-edge contemporary American art that we call the Alphon Collection. The new museum will have much more gallery space, much more programming space to share that with you. So that's in the works. If you want to capture these QR codes, the one on the left is our sports calendar, so you know when to come cheer on the Tars, and the one on the right will take you to the arts and culture events. And I think at this point, I'm prepared to stop and see if there are questions that you'd like to ask or comments you'd like to make. So thank you very much. Yes, please.
Two questions. I'm wondering what the annual tuition is, and also what are Akeem's plans in the future?
Well, I'm not going to answer for Akeem. But the comprehensive fee is about $71,000 a year. Mind you, 93% of our students receive financial aid. So there's only 7% of the students at Rollins that actually pay that full cost of attendance. The rest pay somewhere between that and nothing, so that the average is about half of that. And for the other answer, I'll turn to Akeem.
Hello, hi. So my plans right now, I'm planning on going to law school and pursuing a career as being a criminal defense attorney. Woo!
I should say that our philosophy department is just an engine of sending students to the best law schools in the country. And they take special pride in that, and they do it especially well. So Akeem's getting a good background for that. Other questions or comments? Please.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Yvonne Briscoe-Davis. I have the privilege of being attended at our house district 40. Thank you for this invitation and the light here about all of the efforts with DEI, how important it is and how it's a part of the strategic plan. This is extremely important. I'm glad that you and your leadership understand that. I know your director of DEI is amazing, that she's doing a wonderful job in the community. I'm really, really thankful for Akeem and his thoughts today. I've never met you before, but I know that you're going to go on to do really, really big and powerful things. And it is my hope, as we talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, it is my hope, although you are the first, that you're not the last. Because it is so important that Rollins understand that to go to the next level, it needs to be diverse in all
Exactly. Thank you for that comment. Here, here. Thank you. Other comments or questions? No, you can't stay in Lakeside neighborhood in the summer. Yes, Mayor. Mr. Mayor, please.
I just want to tell you and the rest of the university, thank you so much for your partnership with the city. And, I think we've done we're hoping to do a much better job building that partnership even further. You take a lot of pride in being the home of Florida's first college and the home of the best Kromer executive MBA program in the state. And I didn't know it, but the best theater group also in the state. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Anderson. Now, I don't expect all of you have read the history of Rollins, but we do have a very good history written by Professor Jack Lane. You know, Rollins and Winter Park were born together. Rollins is the first college in Florida because Winter Park made a pitch to establish a college here. There was a competition, and I think it was Daytona and maybe Jacksonville that were vying for the right to establish the first higher ed institution in Florida in 1885. And because of the gift of Alonzo Rollins of the property, Winter Park put up the most, and so it was awarded that privilege. And so Winter Park and Rollins have been linked since their very birth. And one of the reasons that I came to Rollins, and one of the reasons my wife Peg and I have so enjoyed living here, is because the relationship, the town-gown relationship here between Winter Park and Rollins is just the best, most mutually supportive that I've seen. And I'll tell you that our students, faculty and staff, but I'm focusing on the students right now, they love going to college in Winter Park. All too often I see them on Park Avenue having dinner, really. But it's a great relationship, so thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think I saw a hand back there. Please.
I'm Betsy Owens, and I work for Boys and Girls Clubs at Central Florida. And thank you for including me this morning, but more importantly, I just want everyone to know that our Rollins talks about DEI. They really are making such a genuine effort. Last year we had 12 of our Boys and Girls Clubs members as students here at Rollins. And too often they haven't had great baseball experiences, and Rollins has just bent over backwards to ensure the success of the students. So I just want to applaud you,
Thank you.
for the dramatic changes you're making in DEI, and thank you for welcoming so many first-generation college students to your campus.
Well, I appreciate that. And the reason, thank you very much. The reason that we like and seek students coming out of Boys and Girls Clubs organizations is because they have already been so well mentored, and they come to us with a kind of college readiness that it goes beyond academic. They're ready to be here as young people. So we very much value Boys and Girls Clubs, absolutely. Any other comments or questions? You've been very patient and attentive, and I so appreciate that. So thank you for sharing time with us this morning, and enjoy one another's conversation. Thank you.
Just as a reminder, if you're interested in a campus tour, we have a couple of outstanding students in blue shirts waving their hands in the back. Please gather with one of them, and they'll take you on a tour. If you have your parking pass from Truist, get it validated, and thank you for being with us today for the State of the College.
Good job, Sam.